cult of men, or the cult of the ego of men. In this world where they've been pushing equality for the last who knows how long, and therefore it shouldn't really matter how I appear, my dress, whatever, my hairstyle, whatever, because you should all be treated equally. We're all going to be equal. We're going to be treated equally. Over and over, demand for equality. Demand for equality. Non-stop. Oh, we're all going to be treated the same and treated equal. It turns out, really, in reality, that they don't quite. I don't think people understand what the word equality means. It seems to be a word we'll just use and bandy around, but I'm actually thinking about what does it mean. Well, equality, in actually legal sense, is everyone should be treated equally under the law. In a social sense, it just doesn't work because not all of us are treated equally to the Queen or Prince Charles or the Prime Minister of Australia or whatever, or the Prime Minister of Russia. We're not treated, even in their presence. You go to the World Economic Forum. Who's there? A bunch of billionaires and trillionaires. They don't invite people off the floor in, but often not that I've heard of, somebody off the street. They don't invite people off the street who are poor and homeless and saying, why are you poor and homeless? How can we help? I mean, in a constructive way, I don't mean give them a home. I mean, how do you help them into a home by their own effort? That sort of thing. That's capitalism. By your own effort, you end up in a home. But people can put an awful lot of effort in and still end up without a home, as recently will happen in Australia, because the politicians have not treated everyone equally in regards to how they dealt with the pandemic. Some people are being treated differently to others. There's just, in other words, this is a political discrimination. PD instead of PT, in actual fact. But what's behind this? There's going to be something behind this, and it all links together to what it's all about, really, because it's all about profits. It's all about the cult of the male ego. That's what it gets down to. What's driving all the perversity within a democracy and upsetting our freedoms and sort of causing these divisionist arguments over things that there should be no division at all on how to deal with an illness. We should be able to rationalise the ways we do that without putting any pressure on anyone to do anything they don't want, because simply it should be run on intelligence and wisdom, and now that's applied in a logistical manner in a way that appropriately deals with a problem. But that doesn't happen because ego gets in the way of being able to rationalise a decision and the progress of dealing with a problem in a logical and rational way. Because ego is about profit, and the most important thing, what abridges all sort of conversations in the inner circle where they're not equal to us, the fact that they're people who control things through finances and politics and war are, they're not treating everyone else equal to them. They may do if you met them in the toilet or sitting on a plane, which is unlikely. They've all got their own planes. But if you sit and met them somewhere, maybe you'll have a chat. Maybe you'll find they're quite normal beyond the different once you get away from their little WEF crowd, right? And and good. I am not knocking anyone for being super rich, because I wouldn't want to be a trillionaire if you could be one. I mean, I wouldn't mind being a trillionaire for a few days, because I do wonders with that. But one wonders what would one do with it. And one have to need a few days to think of what to do with $1 trillion if one was given one. But I go for track. Male ego, I don't know if that would come into it, or maybe it would. I don't know. Of course, $1 trillion would be lots of money. It's someone willing out there willing to give me $1 billion and test how I use it according to the value of my male ego, or the ego towards humanity itself, rather than my own personal self. Then we could maybe have a look at that, how one could spend $1 billion. But the thing is about this male ego right now, and it's all everything's related in the world. The whole thing's related. People make profit, whether they back a war or destruction or back a communications development or development in medicine, whatever. It doesn't matter. They make money either way. The people with the big finance, they make money on winners and losers. It's important as losers for them, and winners, for the people, the big boys, to make money. That's how it sort of works on some sort of uncohesive friction. That's how the whole thing works on. But now there's the great show, the great historical show, all going on in Ukraine and Russia and all that NATO stuff, and all that, and then this carry on about China and all this stuff, and all the chest beating, and all the billions and billions of dollars China's spending on weapons, and all these people, $80 billion on weapons in the US, also weapons, billions of dollars of weapons, and they worried about climate. You would think all the weapons, all the money spent on weapons, if they're all concerned about climate, was spent on dealing with climate change in a way that was constructive and creating systems for people, instead of trying to disrupt systems to force sudden changes on the world, which is what feels like it's happening. What you would do is use the money to change thinking in a positive way. Like if you think there's the big line away that the demographic problem with so many old people in the world, and we're the bloody pest, we're smelly and horrible, and we and all that sort of stuff, and they can't afford to support us, which is a lie. It's for propaganda, because if we worked from when we were 15 in something constructive, what's built the wealth of the world is living off that wealth now. So therefore the cost of these pensions isn't a burden. If it wasn't for the people who were on the who getting pensions, doing all the work in all the past, accumulative work, in all the really heavy jobs, the dirty jobs, all the industry and all that, what used to be people used to real work. Now they're called, they're attacked in a way, in surreptitious ways, because you read about the demographic imbalance between all the old people and not enough young people. And the old people have built the world for the young people. Now the young people, we can't afford to keep them. No, that's not true, actually. It's not true at all. The cult of male ego has got in the way, and it's clashing with each other all over the place to make things so expensive to run in places. We've got plenty of wealth, there's massive amount of resources, they just misuse them and abuse them, created debt where they should have created a consolidation of funds so they could afford aged care with no problem. Should have always been there. The money should have been forwarded. The money should have been, there's plenty of money in this Australia, we can't afford aged care. No, we've got trillions in super. They can't afford aged care. It's just that they'd rather not pay for it. They'd rather not pay for this money. People put trillions into these super funds, and the most important thing is to get a caravan and drive around the country in one. It's not necessarily true. The most important thing people can do with that super, if it would combine into a lump sum, would be to use it to help with the aged care and stuff like that, because that's when everyone universally benefits, right? Because everyone usually gets old unless they sort of don't make it for one reason or other, man-made or not. But it's the cult of the male ego, what's now on the borders of Ukraine or wherever it is, between Russia and United States, whoever's involved. And they're no different to the silverbacks, only a difference in appearance. It's what appearance, well, look, their appearances are nothing. Appearance don't mean anything, really, because all these people are like tribes of apes, but with suits on and technology. That's all it seems to be. There's been one trajectory has developed, since you've got the movement of hands and stood upright and start using your brains and making sticks and creating weapons. The trajectory has been technology to improve weaponry, so you can master other guys' tribe and take over their space if you if you need it. And there's still the very, very same cult of the male ego, and not all primates, I mean, or no offence meant to any apes here, because I'm sure they're more gentle than a lot of humans are in this respect. But the human ape, if you like, this sort of highly developed being, no doubt extremely clever but limited in ability to communicate in a way that brings peace to a situation. Because the cult of the male ego means the people who front these cults, head these cults, they can't back down because they lose face to the people they are standing for, or they are the leader of. But never mind, this war, if it happens in Ukraine, it kills thousands of women and children. So the cult of male ego, which has been a curse in a way, it's a wonderful thing in a way, hunter-gathering, and it's one thing, but in a way it's been a curse for many years now. Because it continues something what's been going on for 5,000 years or more. Where one tribe with a powerful leader and good technology goes and smashes up some of those territories and takes their riches. And it's still carrying on exactly the same syndrome. The cult of the male ego is still carrying on and affecting the world right now. And they don't care. These people never did care. The same syndrome, they don't do it to protect their women. They're doing it to endanger their women and kids. Because war nowadays is not just throwing a few spears over a dike or a wall. It's with big arms and very, very dangerous weapons. And it can escalate. And these people are not, yes, no doubt, Mr. Putin's a very tough man, and I have no doubt about that. And I like Mr. Putin, so there's nothing against him whatsoever. But I don't like what's happening with America, and I'm not taking side here, or anyway, there's too much chest beating involved here, and not enough being able to say, well, okay, we all ought to back off, and so we will lose face. You know, the Ukrainians, I know they're very extremely tough people. They don't want to back down. No one wants to back down. Well, it's like World War One. No one wanted to back down. What happened? 4 years of horror. No one gives a damn about the women and kids or the ordinary men that were going to be slaughtered because of the cult of the male ego. It's very simple. Something has to break here and soon, and I suggest all women on the world should go on strike, sit down and say we've had enough of war, we've had enough of this cult. Yes, we need men to go and do stuff for us. We need men to sort of chop wood and fix the house and fix the plumbing and fix the cars. Yes, we need that, and we accept that, totally accept that. But we don't need them anymore to show off swinging clubs at each other were actually nuclear weapons. From clubs to nuclear weapons, and hardly any cultural development in between other than in the arts and technology. Other than that, man, it seems, is still a club swinging animal that lives perpetually in his past.